Today we're going to see how to use xForm to modify a surface and how to use DIY xForm without using xForm function. First, let's create a file. Remember to put your initial. This is a lab 7. Make sure you put your file in the correct folder. This time we're going to use inch as the unit. Okay, so we are going to look at the tool surface xForm. How to use this form to modify a surface. First, let's look at xForm applied on a flat surface. Make a block 1 by 1 by 1. Okay, so we're going to look at the xForm to see how to manipulate this top surface. This is a flat surface, so you can see we can describe it precisely using 1 degree in both direction, U and V direction. Right. So if we increase a degree, then it can represent more complicated surfaces. However, this is redundant, but we're going to manipulate this, right? So that's okay. We can also increase the patches. Okay, so for example, right? All right. So this is how you're going to make define the number of poles or number of handles, okay, number of poles or rows when we manipulate a surface. The more degree of both direction you give, the more complicated the surface will be, and the more patches, then more complicated the surface will be as well. Okay, so we are going to just say use in the method we are going to move the surface, move the control point or the rows. We can move using directions or on planes. Let's see direction first. So if we are going to choose this line, then the whole row, okay, the whole row will be selected. So, and then we can drag it. Then you can see the face, the surface being modified. All right, and the other poles or control points is not modified, right? You can see here, if I choose any other object, I can choose this too, use control and click to click multiple objects, right? So you can see deselect the poles automatically, right? So when I click this one, then this one will be deselected, right? You can uncheck this one, so that means when you click it, then it will add the selected. If you want to deselect it, you can use shift and click to unselect it or deselect it. Okay, so this time again we're going to move up in Z direction. Okay, so you can move it or move down. Alright, okay. Right, we can also manipulate single poles. For example, I'm going to click this one. However, I would like to deselect the. Okay, then I use Control. Alright, so if I'm going to move this one going down, you can see then the 4 corners being modified, right? Okay, you can also choose other directions or use the plans. For example, here, right, on this plan, if you're going to, you can see. Okay, so then, okay, alright, then it's been modified like this. Okay, alright, so this is how we can manipulate a surface using xForm. Okay, let me put this one in a feature group. Say block surface xForm hit OK, and this is in layer 1. I'm going to go to layer setting, right? So, and to make this one and hide, okay, inactive, okay. I'm going to make this one layer 10 to be my work layer, and then I'm going to create another cylinder, say diameter 1, height 1 inch, diameter 1. Okay, you can see the cylinder is in layer 10. Now we're going to use xForm to edit the cylindric surface. You can see in this direction is U, and degree is 5 and have 6 patches. Okay, and in V direction, which is along Z direction, degree is 1. I would like to change this one to 1 to 2, and then increase to 2, and then increase patch to 2 patches. Alright, then let's see. We can also, right, make sure you know whether you checked the deselect the pole automatically or not. Then you know how to manipulate or select the objects to control. Okay, so I'm going to select this one, and this one, and pull in Y direction. Okay, so you can see. Alright, so I'm going to apply at this moment. Okay. Okay. Once you've done your modification, you can always use edit parameter or edit with rollback to modify your form. So let me try to control this surface and add one more to say I'm going to move those poles on this plane, which is the YZ plane. Okay. And then I can manipulate the single point too. This time I can use control click to select the point I would like to manipulate. And one more. Okay, so alright, and I can also manipulate in a different mistake made, then I can simply use reset to go back to the previous situation. Do this again. So this time I'm going to use control click and then going to Y axis. Okay, and then what we can do here to save the work, hit OK, and then edit parameter again. This time I'm going to click this 3 point and I would like to manipulate them on this plane. Okay, so you can see here. Alright, okay, so I'm going to move down a little bit. Okay, so you can see we can manipulate those surfaces using different control points or control elements. Let's make this. Okay, so this time let's create this one to be cylindric. First, xForm B. Hit OK. Again, we're going to. This time we're going to make 20 be the work layer, and then go to layer setting, height 10. Alright, we already see the xForm function. Let's save it. Next step, we're going to look at how we're going to use or manipulate the surface if we don't have this xForm function available. We'll still be able to modify our surface in a way. Okay, so you need to download this file from FOL and then follow the steps to create curves on datum plane, and then use through curve to create the surface. Then by manipulating the plane and the poles or the spline, you will be able to edit this surface in a similar way to xForm. Okay, so let's create two datum planes which are parallel to this ZX plane. Say 1 inch. Hit apply, and then in another direction 1 inch. Hit OK. So we have 1, 2, and X, Y, YZ plane in middle. Okay. Now let's start to create curves on this plane. Right. So what we can do here, we can use Curve Studio Spline. Select it. We can either use rule point or we can use poles. This time we're going to use by poles, and this time I'm going to constrain to a plane. Make sure this is checked, and the plane we choose XZ plane. Okay, so let's you can see here degree. You can choose 4, at least 3 degree will be better. If you choose less, the curve becomes too simple. And this time we're going to choose per degree of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. When you see here, there are 4 poles have been created, right? So one more, 5 poles been created. All right. So you can see it says specify the plane, constraint by plane. So what you created is a line on this plane being selected. Let's hit OK and see it here. Right, here's the first curve we created. Okay, so we are going to create another 2 curves on the other 2 planes. So this time specify the plane first, and also we see. Okay, so you can use this one to control roaming or remote. So again, the degree will be the same, and make sure you have the same number of poles as the previous curve, right? So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 curves again. So you can manipulate those curves. Okay, you can manipulate these curves. However, make sure the curve is in your you can move the curve in this direction. Okay, you can also extend. You can make sure your curve is nice and match the requirement. Hit apply. This time I'm going to select the other plane, create another curve. I would like to create some curve similar to this one. So in this time, I'm going to create some through point to see what we can do. 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point, and point. Hit OK. What do we have here? Right. So this, if you look at here, these two curves are very close to each other. But okay. All right. So we have curves. Now we can create a surface. The surface is created using through curve. 1, 2. Oh, so let's deselect this one. So one curve, another set. So you can see when I click here, the first line I created here, right? So you can see, one more set. Okay, I clicked both ends on this side. Okay, so there's no problem. So however, I clicked this end and click this end later, so you can see the weird surface being created, right? So what I can do here, I can change the direction. Okay, then the surface have been created. Okay. All right. Now, as before, we can modify our curve using xForm. However, if xForm is not available, what we can do here, then we can manipulate this surface by modify the distance between the two planes. For example, the one thing before we do modification of the surface, we would like to use change the settings, so we will be able to see the changes while we are moving the other objects, right? So go to modeling preferences, and then in change the tab to update and the dynamic update model, right? So which is by default is none. We would like to use continuous and hit OK. Remember, if we use this one, the performance of the graphic will be degraded. So be careful. When you complete this modification, then switch back to none. Okay, so what we can do here, because the surface is defined by these three curves, so that means if we change this surface, we can change the surface by modify the curves. First, we can modify the location of the curves. For example, this edit parameter. For example, if we move, you can see, right? So if we move the surface, you move the datum plane, and because this curve is constrained on this plane, datum plane, right? So then the surface will also be moved. All right, so that's the situation. Okay, so okay. All right, so let me undo this. Okay, undo this one, and if say we would like to change this one more close to here, then the surface is being modified as well. Okay, this is the one way we can modify our curves, by relocate the curve's location. We can also modify our curves similar to what we have done in the xForm, right? So you can see here, right? We can change the pole and manipulate this. Alright, you can see this pole have been manipulated by constraint on this face. Alright, on this face. So we can also say I would like to modify my poles in this direction only. Okay, this direction only, right? So then we will not be able to move up and down in this direction. Alright, okay, alright. So we can also modify the other curves. So right click, so edit parameter. Okay, you can see it's through points. What we can do, we can use by poles. Alright, so you can see if I move it, because this vector is being selected, then I will not be able to move it up and down, but only in this direction. Okay, we can also use this plan to check how the curve can be defined. Okay, you may ask, if I want to pull in this direction, what I can do? Then we cannot do it. Why? Because we cannot do it because if we do it, what's happening is the curve, when we create this curve, it is always constrained. It is always constrained on this datum plane, right? So then you get trouble. Okay, you will get trouble, right? You'll not be able to do so. Okay, whenever you whatever location you would like to change, it's always lie on the curve. This curve, it always lie on this datum plane. What you can do here, you can say, okay, you can uncheck this one, okay, uncheck this constraint on plane. You can uncheck this one. Alright, uncheck this one, and then after you change this, okay, change the curve, which is not, now it is not constrained on this plane, then you will be able to modify in other direction. Okay, however, this is a more complicated surface. Okay, this is a more complicated surface, and it's very difficult to control your shape. Alright, okay, so this is how we can manipulate our surface without using xForm, which is a very general and very useful and powerful tools we can use to modify our surface. Then save the file, and now let's create a feature group. Okay, DIY xForm. Hit OK. You can see expanded, then everything is created in layer 20. Save the file again.